again, everybody. I'm excited to go over another trailer with you. This one I didn't get to react to last night because there was just too much content dropping. And unfortunately, while I did the Moana trailer, because that was the very first one, I decided not to react to the trailers that were the second trailers for properties because there was too much other new stuff that was coming out. But I'm glad I'm able to break this down with you because there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. I feel bad that this show is coming out after The Acolyte. I think it's really bad timing for this show. I hope that those of us who are interested in this show are able to just enjoy it in our own little space. I hope this doesn't become like another hate fest. I think that would be really unfortunate because I think it looks interesting to me. I'm not quite sure what the point of the show is from a franchise building perspective. And so, I mean, to me, I had felt that the whole point of the show was to launch Wiccan. And so that seems to me like it's going to be at this point, like that it's going to be a last minute reveal. So I think that when you have franchise content, you not only need to sell viewers on the quality of the project itself, but why it's important to watch it for the project and the franchise overall. One thing that was interesting is that I saw on Twitter, a fan account had pointed out that they have these posters that are for the entrance to the Witches Road activation at D23, which is basically where you can kind of see the costumes and stuff like that. But each witch is assigned a different color, just like the Scarlet Witch is red. I don't know how I feel about all the witches having different colors. To me, it's very much like the Infinity Stones, and if they're not Infinity Stone powered, although, of course, the Scarlet Witch, it's revealed, is Infinity Stone powered. I guess, I guess that's maybe where they get their powers from. That's something they're going to have to explore. Although I thought that we moved on from the Infinity Stones. But yes, as one of you already pointed out, Chris, that's correct. For those of you who are like, is the teen Wiccan? His color is blue. And that, of course, is Wiccan's famous signature color for his powers. So all the signs are there. So it's ridiculous that they make us wait the entire show to get that reveal when it's like so obvious that that's who he's playing. All right, so I do like this trailer though. Again, as I said, I think it's nicely done, and so I'm excited. There's some really interesting stuff going on here for us to discuss. All right, so as always, let me cook. I'm going to cook. I'll keep an eye on your comments while we're going along, but then at the end, because this is a live stream, I'll do about a 5-minute Q&A. So we can chat a little bit, and then of course at 3:45, in a little over an hour, the Marvel animation panel starts, and I hear there's at least one trailer coming out, and so I'll do a reaction and probably a breakdown for that as well. And then tonight, the Parks panel will be at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and when that's done, I will do a live panel to cover that. Thanks, 80s model. I would love to be an honorary witch. Would my color be pink? Maybe it would. I don't think, has anyone claimed pink? Yes, Jen's color is pink. I like pink. Not only am I a fan of the color, but like Barbie, but also I like Jean Grey's pink powers. Her telekinesis is always supposed to be pink. Although I have to tell you, blue is typically, my mom always says blue is my color, but blue is also taken as well. So, I don't know. I guess I'm multifaceted. I represent multiple colors. All right. So let's go through this trailer. All righty. So we start out with Agatha, and you can see she's talking about how, and I like this shot here. This to me was really interesting because there's a voiceover that says, Agatha, the covenless witch. And Agatha's really been a loner. And I think that maybe this show might be kind of talking about the importance of friendship and support and not walking the path by yourself. I mean, she's literally walking a path in this show. And I think that might be a really beautiful message. Not only female friendship, but of course you have an LGBT character here as well. I think there are going to be multiple LGBT characters on this show from what we've heard. but Billy's a part of the group as well. So I think it's really nice. But I do think that's a nice thing to underscore. So she's talking about how all of her power was ripped away. What little power she had left was taken from her by the Scarlet Witch. And she's traumatized. That's traumatic. And they have some music playing over this, okay? Marvel television. So as she's walking here, there's like a pretty good song going. And they had a performance at D23. All right? There's Catherine Hahn really getting into it. The whole cast was there, and they did a performance of this Witch's Road song. And I gotta say, I think it's not bad. I guess if you have Patti LuPone, of course, you want to have some songs. But I thought it was good. I mean, I have to say, I think this was such a crowded landscape that it was this just really didn't get the attention that it deserved. I think there was just way too much. Oh, look, Sweeney Todd. Perfect cup for this. I think there was just way too much going on, and this really got lost in the shuffle, which was too bad. But yeah, so nice performance, and I'm glad that the cast here is taking this so seriously. I think that's nice. And again, I thought the song wasn't bad. Usually I'm a tough sell on a musical, but I thought this was not bad. I don't know if it's a full-on musical, Zay, but it's definitely going to have singing elements. All right, so she's saying that the Scarlet Witch took everything from her, and that's not a toe tag. As many of you eagle-eyed viewers have pointed out, that says it's the library, so that's actually a library card. And I agree with many of you that might very much be William Maximoff, but we'll see. Of course, Wanda's son, Billy. Billy, of course, is, remember Vision said he was named after William Shakespeare. All right. So there's Westview. Ooh, what a dump. Seen better days. All right. So all these women, I think this is interesting, are talking about how all of them have had stuff taken away from them. I want to talk about the rabbit in a moment. But anyway, in this montage, everyone's talking about how they're having a really hard time. And these women are all down on their luck, and they all feel like they're at the end of their rope. So I think that's why they're motivated to take the risk of walking the Witch's Road. So I think that's really, really a cool idea. I like this. Again, this is very specific in terms of its appeal. And that worries me about, Terry points out that Wiccan's surname is not Maximoff. That's right. In the comics, it's Billy Kaplan. So we'll see what they decide to do there. But I guess technically it is Maximoff. But, we'll see what the MCU decides to do. But I like this idea. All right, so there's the teen. Okay, he's just called Goth Teen, which I think is hilarious. All right, but there he has Senior Scratchy. Remember from WandaVision, that was Agatha's familiar. So there's when she first presented him. She was like, oh, look, I got a rabbit. And then when she revealed who she truly was, she still had Senior Scratchy. Senior Scratchy's looking a little different. I think they might have swapped out rabbits. We can tell, especially because we do these side-by-side comparisons. But anyway, you can see that Goth Teen is holding the rabbit. Well, Michaela, how is he a teenager already? Well, in the comic, his soul inhibits the body of someone who died. And I kind of heard that's maybe still what they were going to do. But that doesn't gel with how the WandaVision show worked, where, remember, they were continuously aging up. They were jumping up in age. And we all thought that's how they were going to get to be teenagers more quickly. But then I had heard that maybe they were going to do this other thing, more in line with the comics. So we'll see what they ultimately decide to do. All right, so all these women are having a difficult time. And she's like, join me on the Witch's Road, right? And I like that as well. I think the symbolism is that it only works if they walk it together. Isn't that nice? I like this idea. Again, I think it's a nice idea. And Agatha saying we just have to make it to the end. And so obviously this is the ritual to get onto the road. So they have like this little ceremony, right, with the bell. And then I think when they open that door, then the floor, it actually takes them down into the Witch's Road. That would be my guess. So it worked. It worked. Aha, here we are on the Witch's Road. Woohoo. I hope you got your walking shoes on, ladies. So here comes Rio, who we all thought was going to be Wanda with these kind of broken movements. But in fact, it's Rio. So do all witches move this way? That to me is very interesting, especially the more that maybe they read the Darkhold. Although, of course, Agatha didn't move this way, although she does actually move this way later in the trailer. But I think, oh, my pleasure, Lampa. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. But yeah, so I'm both intrigued and a little disappointed. I'm like, how much are you going to take from Wanda? I guess that's one of the things that bothers me. I mean, I like having all these different characters, and I like the idea of togetherness and women supporting each other. But at the same time, I'm like, I think you're diluting the character of Wanda. You're showing me everything but who I want to see. And that's Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda. Okay. She's like, hey, ladies, I heard there was a party. And they're like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. So I'm excited. So this Halloween season, and clearly they say the road tests all of them. And so I guess they're all going to see something from each of their pasts. So hello, episode structure. So we've got like a couple of ladies here, and they're all going to be, different sequences in the film. Or the show. But actually, there's something interesting that's going on that you're going to like. Okay? All right. So I thought this was fascinating. Now, this is very clearly The Wizard of Oz. And I was like, man, right before Wiccan comes out, what are you doing to me? But what's interesting is I do not think that this is different shows again. I don't think it's different dramas like it was with WandaVision doing different eras of like television. I believe that they're going to show different versions of how witches have been portrayed throughout movies and TV. And I think that's a really interesting idea, to show all the different ways that witches have been depicted in popular culture. I think that's brilliant, right? Isn't that great? I do think that, interestingly, the Birds of Prey comic that's also about all women is currently is out right now, and I highly recommend it. But it also has the female characters going through these different symbolisms. And every time they go through like these portals, they're in a different world in a different style. So I'm like, oh, that's very similar. But anyway, so the overlapping to me isn't great. But I guess, people are just on the same wavelength. All right. Look at all those swords in the ceiling. Hoo boy. And they're going to lose their gravity in a moment. They fall. Look, see, and Patti LuPone is Glinda. So I think that's really interesting that they're the witches from Wizard of Oz. So this to me is like exorcism movies and The Conjuring. Very much Blumhouse, right? So I think that's what they're depicting here in terms of witches. So I think that's really cool. So that's what's going on here. So that's why it has like that 70s vibe when, actually The Exorcist came out. So I think that's really funny. Oh, is that outfit Wiccan coded? Let me see. Oh, it is a little. That's funny. All right. So I love that. And also from the first trailer, we know this is a very funny sequence, right? So she's walking around like that. Very Wanda in Multiverse of Madness. I think it's very funny. All right, so now this is cool. You can see on the ground there on the bridge. Hold on, let me get back to it. You can see on the bridge there. Where's my stinking arrow? Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Come on, arrow. Whee! All right, so you see here, this is like phases of the moon. And, the moon is long associated with women. Certainly women with certain parts of their physiology, let's say. Witches are often accompanied with the moon. The moon is very much supposed to be something that is linked to femininity and stuff like that. So it's a good thing to have that be a part of the symbolism. Now this to me is The Craft. I think this seems very much to me like The Craft. That's the way that it looks like, kind of the way they're showing that here. Or maybe it's a young Agatha, but just from this little short clip it looks to me a little bit like The Craft. And then you can see, she's like, I just want to get all my power back. I just have to make it to the end. Oh, and see that door as well here. Also, the moon symbolism. Very much the moon. So I think that's very interesting. Now here, they walk into this room. I'm not sure what this is. This to me thinks it's maybe like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. You know, there were a lot of 1960s television shows that had female characters that had supernatural powers. So maybe that's what this is. I'm having a little trouble placing some of the different, witches, throughout pop culture. But that's kind of what I'm getting off of this. I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, so you think Carrie a little bit? I don't know, but look at this. I love it. I love it when Aubrey Plaza does that. She's like, what's next, ladies? I think that's fabulous. But I have to say, this reminds me a lot of her role in Legion. I don't know if you ever watched Legion. This was one of the first streaming shows to a degree, like a comic book show that took the medium seriously. It was on FX back in the day, and she was the villain, and she did a wonderful job. She was very expressive, and so I think it's interesting to use her in a similar way here. But she's doing a very good job. I think she's going to steal a lot of scenes. I almost feel like the rest of the cast, I'm curious as to why when they were on set, they weren't like, maybe we should step up our game a little bit, because I think that Aubrey Plaza is wiping the floor with us. All right. So, look at that. Oh, she's doing a great job. She's out camping Patti LuPone. Do you know how good you have to be to out-camp Patti LuPone? I'm like, Patti LuPone, you can't rest on your laurels here. Aubrey Plaza's on fire. All right, so darkness takes hold, but I love this. They turn it into Harkness takes hold. Although that was pretty nice. That's pretty boss. I liked that quite a bit. So there's the moon. She's like, I just need these witches to get me to the end of the road. And I liked some of this action. I'm like, oh, the stakes are high. But the road... By the way, I like this. This is very interesting to me because I'm like, Activation City, baby. And in fact, at D23, they show off the costumes. You kind of get to walk the Witch's Road and see some of the costumes from the show. But this, to me, is giving off major, Oogie Boogie Bash at Disney's California Adventure. All kinds of different opportunities to create, the Witch's Road is very theme parky as an idea. It's very much a place you can create for fans. You can easily create this on the back lot of any theme park. And so I think that's very clever from a business standpoint. All right, so we're clearly going to spend most of the show on this road. So get comfortable. All right, so I wonder, that almost looked like an insane asylum. Hold on. I wondered, that would be very interesting as well, because, of course, women were not only persecuted in the Salem witch trials, but medicine in its early days in particular, even until recently, even today to some degree, with the discussion about Roe v. Wade, doctors and the patriarchy through medicine have very much had a control of women. And many women in particular were committed to asylums. And, hysteria and a hysterectomy comes from the idea that women aren't in control of their emotions. And so that's fascinating. But again, we find this really interesting. But, for instance, the majority of the comic book audience is male. I don't know how many of them are going to be into this kind of stuff. Of course, this is from the same woman who was behind WandaVision, and she probably is very interested. Jack Schaefer, she's not a comic book fan, and I'm sure she's very interested in this as well. But again, I wish that someone who worked at Marvel Studios would have been like, this is cool, Jack, but don't forget, the majority of our audience is male, and I need them to watch this as well. To benefit, to justify spending this kind of money and time and the place on the Marvel timeline, Marvel only has so many slots. They only have so many spots where they can do a TV show and a movie. And so you have to justify, and it's so crowded and there's such a demand at this point, you have to really justify having your spot. And so I'm worried about that. Again, I hope that those of us who are into this are just allowed to enjoy it. So, the road takes everything. I wonder what's in her locket. It looks kind of gross. It looks like some kind of maybe bodily fluid or something. I'm not sure what's going on there. I hope it's just there's no picture in there, but I'm curious. That's, of course, Agatha Harkness's famous brooch. It's from the comic books even. And so it's like, if you're going to answer the question as to what's in that brooch, you better have a really good answer. All right. So, boy, that's a nice shot of Billy, or Goth Teen. He's a wonderful actor. I hope people give him a chance. But anyway, so there's Goth Teen, and he goes, why don't you tell people what's really going on about you? And she's like, and I think she's like, it's just too horrible for them to know. And I think Kathryn Hahn, who is largely a comedic actress, is really doing a nice job at the dramatic moments here. But, of course, comedians are famous for actually being surprisingly good dramatic actors. Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, because I think to be a good comedian, you have to have a lot of pathos. The famous Pagliacci, the crying clown. Okay. So there, I'm very curious as to what's happening there. That, to me, is religious horror. Like all the famous religious horror films, of course, also have a supernatural element as well. I think that's very, very cool and interesting. Now, this is crazy. So, boy, I like this. This is very horrific. Very much these kinds of movies and pop culture climbing out of the ground like that. I think that's really well done. And she's like, give me my prize, because clearly she made it to the end of the road. But again, I think we all know, for a movie for a show that's very based in like pop culture, anyone who's familiar with pop culture knows that the prize is never what you expect. If someone says they're going to give you your heart's desire or what you truly need, it's never what you think is your heart's desire or what you truly need. So I'm like, geez, Agatha, didn't you know the way this was going to go? Clearly you're going to get what you truly need, or it's going to be either what you truly need or a cruel twist on it, like a cruel irony. So we'll see. So this is just some quick shots of like, this is some serious shit. By the way, look, so they lose the gravity and they're going up towards the swords, baby. And so that's that funny thing. Now, what the heck's going on here? When I saw it very quickly, I was like, Mephisto? Although, of course, we all know that Mephisto's showing up in a later show. It's already leaked. But, I want to do my part to try and have some mystery. But that's clearly a lady. Although we don't know what's going on with Mephisto. But yeah, so, like a harpy? Mephisto. That's funny, Garnet Fire. But yeah, that's pretty insane. Like whatever's going on there, you're like, whoa, like for a Disney Plus show, like that's pretty nuts, right? And look, it just bursts into flame. It looks like maybe that's like someone's possessed. Maybe that's Rio or something. But isn't Wanda supposed to be the one who's possessed? It's crazy. All right, but anyway, that's pretty nuts. And so, I like this. I like when she says last one there is a nice person, because it's obviously a take on last one is a rotten egg or something like that. But because they're witches, it's a good thing or a good person. And I think Kathryn Hahn, I think it's a funny line. I think it's a cute line. I think other people might have made it seem more cute than funny. But Kathryn Hahn does an excellent job, because she's clearly also on the verge of a nervous breakdown. So you're like, I know who hasn't been there? Who hasn't had a rough time and been just barely holding it together? And I think it's extremely relatable. I would hope it would be relatable to everybody, but I think it's extremely relatable. She's like, I'm a mess, whatever, I don't care. We're doing this. Agatha All Along. 2-episode premiere. I'm nervous. Again, as I told you, the first 4 episodes went out to press that are doing the junket, which clearly must be this weekend, because I guess they're like, how many times are we going to fly all the talent out? So, because the studio has to pay to fly the talent out and to put them in hotel rooms. So they were all there singing at D23. So I'm sure they're like, as long as talent is here and the press is here, let's do the interviews at Comic-Con, which makes a lot of sense to me. That makes sense. I can understand that. I'm not participating in the junket, so I will get my episodes, I'm sure, later on, so in time to review, because, it's over a month before this show comes out. But I am worried, Garnet Fire, I am concerned about leaks. There's a lot of alien stuff leaking, even though that just comes out in a week, because they showed it, I think because Disney is very busy, Disney had all their Alien stuff right before Comic-Con. And by the way, my Alien review is going to be late because I can't make the press screening on Monday, and I'm really bummed about that. But I'll be doing full coverage on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, so, we'll see what happens. Again, I hope there are no leaks, and I hope there isn't a lot of hate. I'm really nervous about getting the Acolyte treatment. And I think because, again, let's see if it sticks the landing. I think a lot of us who defended the Acolyte early on were disappointed and let down by the way the show ended. But I think that Jack Schaefer is, a stronger creator. I think we know from WandaVision that I think WandaVision did have a beginning, middle, and end. I liked WandaVision quite a bit. I thought, maybe it didn't have the ending we all wanted or expected, but I thought it had a really beautiful ending. So I think there was a lot about it that was great. So I liked it. So let's do the Q&A. There we go. Ah, hooray. All right, it's 2:45. Let's go for let's do about 10 minutes till 2:55. And then I get a little break before the Marvel animation panel. Hey, this never trended because it was just too crowded. And again, it wasn't a first look. So people are already like, oh, I saw it. Oh, you want a poll, Marduk? Okay, we'll do a poll. How does Agatha All Along look to you? It looks great. Medium. Not for me. And then really dislike it. So, cool, but not for me. Because, you're like, it's not for you, but you're not going to hate on it. All right, so of course, again, anyone could be in the chat. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. But anyone can vote in a poll. Hoxiettes, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're looking for Wanda to be on this show, I wouldn't get your hopes up. You never know. They always can maybe change things last minute, so even I don't know 100%. But I'm not counting on her being on this show. Mystic, I'm not sure. Some people are saying it's 9 episodes. I forget. Let me check. Yeah, 9. That's pretty good. Remy says, Teen is holding Senior Scratchy. What if they pull the rug out from under us and Joe turns out to be Agatha's son, Nicholas Scratch? Well, you never know 100% for sure, but I think that fans would rise as one and revolt. And so I think that would be a really bad idea. I got to tell you, WandaVision fans are already on edge because of how disrespectful the MCU has been to Wanda. Not only story-wise and representation-wise, but some of the talent behind the scenes has been very disrespectful of Wanda. I think all of us are just barely holding it together with how she was disrespected in Multiverse of Madness. I think the only thing that made up for that is that she was very cool and powerful in the movie. But if this is not Billy, I think everyone's just going to lose their mind. Zeppelini, I would expect probably around the length of I don't know for sure, and I haven't gotten my screeners yet, but I would suspect it's because, I don't think that they changed already. I would think they would be along the length of the WandaVision episodes and the Acolyte episodes, which are a little over or around half an hour. Sam says, do you sense something evil about the Aubrey character? Maybe, but that's also Aubrey Plaza. But that could also be a misdirect, Maybe she's possessed by that demon we saw light on fire. I agree, Ben. Wanda was by far and away the best part of Doctor Strange 2, and I fully believe that's why the movie grossed as much as it did. MNV, I don't know where Billy's brother is, Speed. I think that this is going to be just about... I honestly, if I had to predict it, and again, this is just my prediction... I believe at the last or second to last episode, they'll be like, oh my God, it's Wanda's son. And then he's going to have to go look for his brother and his mother in the Children's Crusade, which I wouldn't be surprised if that was the Young Avengers storyline. And then you're like, when the heck are we going to get to Wanda? Von Steuben, happy birthday. I love your name. Jaden says, my theory is that Billy Teen's wish will be to have a family, and instead of Wanda, this is how we get Tommy. Well, maybe, but he already has a family, right? Alex says, what are your thoughts on the Fantastic Four theme that they showed yesterday? Well, we're talking about Agatha, but I will just say quickly that it was very Incredible Z. I liked it, although it took a little too long to get along. I fast-forwarded a little bit. I was like, okay, I get it. You got a choir. Kevin Cisneros says, I worry that the Wanda spinoffs will suffer without her. It is weird to have Wanda spinoffs without Wanda. Oh, happy birthday to you too, Rodney. I think it's weird to be like, wow, this character sure is popular. You know what we should do? We should focus on every other character around her and not actually use her. And you're like, that's bizarre. Casually, Trevor says Fantastic Four might not have all the same costumes. That would be weird. Let's see. In the comics, Wiccan is not an orphan, but remember, he's taken over the body of another teenager who dies. And so he's almost in some ways like been adopted. Mika says, what is your ratings prediction? Secret Invasion, an Echo level, or Moon Knight and Hawkeye? I'm really worried. I have to see the show for myself. I'm hoping maybe more along the lines of Ahsoka and Loki. I just would like it to be able to be in the Nielsen ratings, even if it's at the bottom. At this point, I don't care where it is on the Nielsen charts, just that it is on them. Because it's so embarrassing that the Acolyte can't even rank on the originals chart. Forget the overall. It can't even rank on the originals. Hey, Sean. iReady says, I think every now and then it helps to simply enjoy a piece of entertainment for what it is. I agree with you. I agree. My wish, my Marvel wish, is for those of us who enjoy this show, and I'll cover it no matter what because I know that we all like it. I'll do breakdowns every week. But I just really hope that we're just allowed to enjoy this in peace. You know, I don't want an Acolyte situation where people pour in and hate on it. It's like, you know what, dude, we're just having a nice time over here. Psycho says, hey, Grace, it's me, VTTV. I had my back surgery. Oh, that's great. And I'm recovering. Your videos are helping to lift my spirits. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad you've had the surgery and it went well, and you're on the road yourself of recovery. But I'm glad I can help you feel a little bit better and take your mind off of it. Skibidi says, was it a bad decision to release this after Deadpool? No, I just think it's bad to have it come after The Acolyte. I'm nervous. And it's also coming out right along the lines of Beetlejuice. And it's very similar to Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice, it's right, Connor, it's my educated wish. That's funny. Beetlejuice is coming out the week before this, or 2 weeks before, on September 6th. And very similar. And that's right, Alex. Wicked's coming out a couple months after. And I think that fans are, like, you know, people who are into witches are really into Wicked. And I'm just nervous. Thank you, Sean. That's so sweet of you to say. And I appreciate your support. That's really very kind of you. James says, do we find it weird that it runs past Halloween? I'm surprised it doesn't wrap up on October 30th. Well, you never know. Maybe they'll drop a couple of duplicate episodes, you know. You never know what their schedule exactly is going to be until we find out. It is a little weird to run past Halloween. You would think it would end for around Halloween. Oh yeah, you're right, Marduk. Let me close the poll. Alexander says, Grace, do you think Elizabeth Olsen isn't coming back to Marvel because she's trying to win an Oscar? Yeah, but that's going horribly. I think she should just make sure that she's still in the conversation. I don't understand why Elizabeth Olsen's having such a difficult time as an actress. She's so talented and she has such a big fan base. I don't understand why things aren't coming together for her. All right, how does Agatha look to you? 56% of you think it looks great. Huzzah! 29% of you think it looks medium. 7% of you think cool, but just not for you. And then 6% of you are offended. That's fine, but I think that's encouraging, although very few votes. So that's what I'm worried that after The Acolyte, people, you know, what's worse, to be hated on or to be just totally ignored? I think it's a tough situation. I wish that these things were constructed not only to be quality, but to be successful and to have broad appeal. Because again, it doesn't serve the groups that they're trying to represent to have duds. Like, that's not helpful to the groups they're trying to put out there. Disney Animation's done the same thing. You want to be able to point to the representation and say, look how successful it is. That's what's key, and that's frustrating. Yesy, you're right. Loki season 2 was amazing, and people didn't. People paid attention at the end, because the end was just so good. Andrew Kills World says creatives need to understand that Disney is for everyone. That's very true, Andrew. Disney is a 4-quadrant company, and these franchise, when you spend this kind of money on stuff, it needs to appeal to a broad group. Garnet Fire, that's a good way to put it, that you want representation, but not at the cost of your communities. I wouldn't say the cost, but you don't want it to tarnish or be a strike against. S. Mark says, do you think that Wiccan's LGBT status will be done well now that it's owned by Disney? I hope so. I think that Joe Locke is a wonderful actor. He's a member of the LGBT community in real life. He's obviously on the Heartstoppers, which is an extremely well done and well received show, especially by that community. I don't think he would sign on for it if they weren't going to do it justice. Prince Adolfo says, I'm worried this might not lead to anything like affecting the MCU overall. I think that it's going to lead into, I think it's going to lead into Children's Crusade and the Young Avengers. Nahash, I would love it if this connected to Doomsday. I would love that, but I don't think that it will. I think Kevin Feige needs to pick up the pace a little bit. I think that his timetable is a little slow. I think especially because we all know where we're going as fans. We know where we're going. So I think that that's one of the problems that he's running into. And I think that fans drive the conversation and they drive the excitement. One of the things that I think that Deadpool and Wolverine did so successfully is it gave fans everything they wanted. And a happy fan is a happy movie. All right, it's 2:56. I better get going because I want to take a little bit of a break. I want to stretch my legs before the Marvel Animation panel, which is in about 45 minutes. I do expect at least one trailer to drop. I know that some people have leaked what that trailer is. I'm trying to walk a fine line and not get in trouble. So I'll just tell you that a trailer is coming out, and I will be covering that as well. So I'll see you in a little bit. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me today. I'm having a great time, and not only am I enjoying all this stuff, but I'm having such a good time talking about it with you. All right, bye-bye.